Hi, welcome to the Mangala Samiti podcast, where I talk about business, life, personal development, and other ideas that matter. I am your host, Mangala Samiti, and I am many things: a chartered global management accountant, CFO, author, voiceover artist, and so much more. But I really am just one thing, and that is a creator. I create content and solutions to problems and challenges. I hope this podcast will help you on your own journey to greatness. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. This week, I just want to share some thoughts with you on living, but specifically on a concept of living multiple lifetimes. Let's get into it. So I think if you look at your life as happening on only one linear timeline with a defined beginning and end, you get to see your life as one occurrence, but expecting a different tomorrow. See, but if you see it as experiences happening in a series of events, you begin to realize that you've lived multiple lifetimes, and where you are currently is another life event that will not be the same tomorrow. So even though it will not be in the way that you exactly want, it definitely will be different. And you have the power to change this trajectory through the decisions and steps that you take today. And this is the thing about the future that really excites me. The fact that so many possibilities exist and it really could go anywhere. See, there's so many things that could happen. And yes, quite alright, there is fear in there of not knowing what could happen, because you know for sure that not everything is high, not everything is happy. But rather than this being crippling, it's exciting because I'm at the center of it, because you are at the center of it all. And all it's doing is waiting for you to experience it. But here's the caveat. Whatever it is that you do today, the decisions that you make now have a direct impact on your tomorrow, whether you like it or not. So you can resolve to make a difference now and begin to act towards the ideal future that you want to see, and your tomorrow can shape itself into something that you yourself are extremely proud of. Okay, so let's put this into some perspective. See, when you think back to the life that you've lived and a different time, a younger you that is, pulling everything from memory, you know that it must all be true and it must have been you, but it all somehow seems so unreal. It feels so unreal. It doesn't feel real. You still cannot believe that it's you that lived that life. However, you cannot accept any other explanation other than it was actually you living that life, because anything else would be crazy. The only thing that makes sense is that it obviously was you living the life. For instance, see, personally, I have this vivid memory of me being a young boy playing soccer with my friends. And these are friends whose faces I can't even remember or picture in my mind. But I remember it would be so much fun, it would be exhilarating, and I'd get extremely dirty because we would play in grounds full of sand, playing the soccer. And when I'd go home, my mom, my sister, my aunties would always tease me that I looked so white, like a sweet potato, because of all the dirt from playing in the sand. They'd tell me. See, but this was a different time, a different place. And I cannot even remember where this would be, or what year, or how old I was. And also, another memory that I have, we'd play with worn out car tires, rubber tires from the car. So we'd put water to balance out the tires, and we'd use two logs, one on each side, one on the left and one on the right. You hold them together, and my friends and I would race and would be running so fast, pushing that tire to see who would be the first. And all of this was fun for us. And I have these memories, but I can't necessarily place them on a specific timeline, a specific day, a specific year, a specific month, a specific time. It just exists as a memory. And remember, these are friends whose faces I still cannot remember. I can't even recall how old I was at this time. And once again, it all seems like a dream. Yet here I am today,
living the life that I'm living. But when I look at who I am now and think back to this child, it all seems so unreal, like it wasn't me. The child to me seems like an observation, like I only observed this kid from a distance. But I know it's me. I know in my heart of hearts that it's definitely me, because logic tells me that it's my memory and it cannot be anything nor anyone else. It can't be someone else's memory. There can't be memories that have been placed in my head, because all of that is some sci-fi nonsense, some sci-fi theories that just don't make any sense, that don't exist. So it's definitely me. Let me ask you this. What's your earliest memory, and how do you know that it's your earliest with certainty? How? Because the earliest memory of my life is my mom coming home from the hospital with a new baby, my sister, my young sister, and she had some apples, and I remember I took a green apple and I had it and I enjoyed it. However, I know that this is my earliest memory because the age difference between my sister and I is 3. So I should have been 3 years old when this happened. So it's not even that I know for certain that it's my earliest memory. It's just because from deduction, I should have been 3 years old. And what really can you remember before you were 3, at 2 or at 1 or a couple of months old? So following this line of thought of it all seeming like a dream, it gets me to also ask the question, are dreams memories from a different life? It's because a large chunk of the dreams that I have, I cannot explain in any way, or where the hell that they come from. See, I've had dreams of me being in a place, me being in Argentina, where I've never traveled before. My family and I have never gone before, but I have this dream that I dreamt of me being in Argentina, and I'm like, but I've never been to Argentina before. So how? And it looked beautiful, it looked amazing, and I knew it was Argentina because I felt that it was Argentina. I've never been to Argentina before. Or dreams of people that I've never met before, who are so clear in my mind. Dreams of people that I'm having conversations with, or I'm experiencing things with, I'm meeting on the road, or I'm meeting them in a shop, but I've never met these people before, and their faces don't look familiar whatsoever. See, it's either my imagination is on steroids, taking all my experiences and creating these complex scenarios, or these scenarios must be from a life I've lived somewhere, somehow, or some other things I just cannot explain. There's so many mysteries in the universe, there's so many mysteries in the world that we just don't know, or we haven't unearthed at this time. But in essence, even my memories don't have a defined timeline to them, especially because they all pretty much feel like they only happened yesterday. So anyway, here we are. If I think back to where I've come from and my life from a younger age, the experiences I've had that are not on a so clear timeline, it really does beg the question if the concept of time is real also. See, because we as human beings have defined time through a clock and calendar, yet we've become slaves to it. We say we cannot do certain things because we're too old, or we're too young, or there isn't enough time, and so on and so forth. But nature, life itself, doesn't have a timeline to it. All nature knows is cycles. Daylight, night, daylight, night, daylight, night, cold, heat, rain, and it does it all over again, giving us the opportunity to make a new life for ourselves, but only if we decided it so. So whenever someone asks, tell me about yourself, we tend to explain ourselves in a timeline sort of view. For instance, I went to school at this place in this year, then I went to college, I studied finance, I graduated on this day or in this year, and then I joined this firm in this year. Then I got promoted to manager. Then I left and joined this other place where I am now. And I started dating this person in this year. Then we got married in that year, blah, blah, blah. My child was born in this year. My child was born on that day and that, and so on and so forth. And if you follow this, you notice that I'm describing my life in one linear timeline. Yet there's so many experiences throughout this linear timeline that I can bring to the table, and each series of events was a particular life I was living. So for instance, you being in school was a life that you were living, because from the start date to the end date of you being in college at that particular school, there's a number of things that happened, yet the main thing was you acquiring whatever certificate, diploma, degree that you are working towards acquiring. But when you arrived, there's certain things that you did, people that you met, experiences that you had, stories that you can tell from the first day, the second day, the third year, the third day, the first month, the 6th month, the 12th month, of things that happened to you at that particular time. So that can be described as a life that you lived, a life of you living, a life of you being in that particular place. That experience from the start date to the end date of you being in the college. You see, many of us are stuck in the prison of our own making, one of our minds, where you see your current life as meaningless because you are not either getting the recognition that you feel you deserve, or you're not getting the relationship that you want, or the job that you desire, the car that you want to drive, the place you want to live in, and so on and so forth. Constant worry, disappointment, and depression is your constant. And this is all because you are always comparing your life to that of other people, to that of others. You don't realize that your own experiences make you unique, and you already live a life that is beautiful, exciting, and has so many different sides to it, all waiting to be unearthed by you, to be believed by you, if only you and you alone gave it a chance. You see, you have an idea of what your life should be, and because you are not achieving it, you are unhappy. See, but in actual sense, tomorrow is not guaranteed, and you only have the moment in which you find yourself in, and that moment is the now, the today, the right now. So your only option, really, the only option that should matter to you from today should be to use that moment to do what you really want, and that which gives you joy. Take a leap of faith and surprise yourself too. You should live in the moment and enjoy the current life that you're living, the current experience, because when it ends and you start a new one, you will think back and regret the simple fact that you didn't really put yourself out there to enjoy the experience. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Please, if you have any feedback on this, or any ideas or thoughts on any of the other podcasts, or just any ideas in general, please do send me an email on mangaliso.meaty@gmail.com. I thank you for all the feedback that you have given to me to date. I thank you for listening and tuning into the podcast every week, and at least letting me know that this podcast is making some sort of a difference in your life. Until next time, have a great week.